Hey guys, welcome to Tomatoes, Poppies, and Everything Gardening. Tonight it is night. I don't know if you can tell out the window there. It's very late. I am drinking some sleepy time tea and I am taking care of a project that I've been kind of putting off, and it's something I need to do before the new year. Well, I mean, it is the new year. It's like January the 7th. Um, what I mean is the new year in gardening. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start tonight. It'll probably take me a few different times sitting down with a calendar. You can see I have this beautiful new calendar I bought myself for Christmas. I really love it. It's gorgeous. So it's kind of a motivating item to help me do this task, which is I'm going to go through my camera roll and I am going to put notes into the calendar for experiments and things that I observed over the last year of gardening in my home garden here in Central Virginia. I want to make notes of what worked, what didn't, and what time range on the calendar did that occur. So, for example, let's just pick this picture. I'll put an image here on the screen. I did a succession planting of squash kind of towards the end of summer. So I took a picture with my camera while I was outside when I planted the item, and that's the only documentation I did at that point. And then you can see I've got another picture I'll put right here. This is getting really close to our first frost date, and the squash, they were not going to make it. They did actually get blossoms, but there was no way it was going to produce any fruit before first frost. So I learned a timeline, key information there, that usually is not going to work unless I have a really wonky year with my first frost. So that's what I'm going to be working on. And I would encourage everyone to do that occasionally, especially if you're new to gardening. I think it could be a very powerful tool to kind of keep you aware of when is a good time to plant. And that can vary greatly. And that's why it's kind of good to have years of these notes that you can kind of reference back so that over time you will have a time range that may work. You know, it may work during this 2 to 3 time range, and you'll know that. Over time, you'll just know it in the back of your head. So, kind of what I'm doing with this is just documenting some of the experiments I've done over the past year. Um, and some things did work. So here's an example. I did peas like I would say second to third week of February last year, and those did really, really well. So I'm actually going to write that in my calendar. I'll pick that week in February, and I'll just kind of put off on the edge 2023 peas, and maybe a check mark or a happy face or something. I'm trying to think of some more experiments. Another thing that I look for when I go through my camera roll are pests. That's a big one to kind of put onto your calendar. So the squash vine borer is one of my major horrible pests that there's nothing really I can do. I've tried everything, like really everything. But I could document when have I seen that in the garden. Honestly, I feel like I've seen it like every 2 to 3 weeks. Supposedly you can see I've been writing with my purple pen. Um, you know, most people only get 2 rounds of the squash vine borer moth putting her eggs out. But for me, I feel like I see it every other week. So I'm going to document that. Just some things like that. And so this is a twofold, benefit for me because I will be emptying out some of these images off of my phone, and my phone will be greatly, greatly happy about that because I don't even want to tell you how many images I have on the phone. It's a wonder it's still working, but it is, knock on wood. So that's what we're going to work on. I think I'll put a few more examples up here. Okay, guys, so here is an example of how I'm using the photos from my phone and this beautiful calendar to kind of figure out what is going on for this year and what I'm going to do. So I'm just using February as an example. You can see that I have listed what flowers for me here in my zone 7 to 8 Central Virginia location. So I have all of these to look forward to next month, which is really exciting. And then over on this side, I'm kind of writing what happened and when, instead of using the actual dates, because actually I'm thinking I'm going to try to do better this year. And I'm using the word actually like 50 times here, sorry. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to keep up with my garden calendar this year and write what I planted and when. We'll see. We'll see. It's a good goal. So over on the edges here, I'm writing, so already early February, I had bolting arugula. And by the end of February, it was just all completely gone to flower. So it's really nothing I can do to control the weather, but that's just information for me. Unfortunately, that's one of those hard things to grow for me here because of temperature fluctuation. But I see that I planted my spinach and some 70-day peas. I think they were magnolia something or other. They did really well when planted February 9th of last year. We did have a warmer than normal February, probably. At least 2 or 3 days it got up into the 80s. Not sure if it'll do it this time, but I think overall the temperatures for February are going to work with when I want to plant some of these things. Also, the dragon radish did perfect, planted this month. My breakfast radishes. The Napa cabbage, this is a problem. I'm going to try in January. I'm going to try now. Like as soon as I get that bed ready, we're going to plant the Napa cabbages and try one more time. This is another hard thing for me to grow here. And then the greasy greens, collards, they did awesome when I planted them, which was the 12th. And I actually still have 3 plants out there that are doing great. I'm waiting for them to, hopefully they'll go to seed when it starts to warm up and I can save those seeds. So this is just an example of how I'm using this calendar and the photographs on my phone to kind of work for me in my planning for the garden year coming up. And I put when I started all my indoor summer starts here on the calendar too. And I'm thinking I'm going to go 1 week earlier for my tomato plants and up to 2-ish weeks early for the hot peppers and maybe even the sweet peppers. It's a really fun line because one year I remember I must have started super early. I had peppers that were like 2 feet tall, and I don't want to ever do that again. That was a lot of work on me. So I'm going to have to be real tight with this timeline and make a nice plan. But now that I am selling plants this past year and the year before, probably do need my plants a little bit bigger just because people expect their plants to look a certain height when they buy them. All right, guys, so back to the video. Some interesting finds that I find while going through my camera roll for 2023. So this video was just a quick little encouragement for you to kind of take a pause before you get out all the seed starting supplies and, start ordering all the seeds and get really excited. That's the fun part. And I want to be there too. But I'm going to force myself to go through, look at the images, because that was my note taking form. Some people maybe are better about using journaling or, many years I have tried to take notes as I go on the calendar and write down exactly when I plant something, exactly when it sprouts, when I harvest. That's a very optimistic me wanting to do that. That's not realistic. Realistic is I take a picture and that's the documentation. But I do want to evaluate that information. So I'm going to take the moment, finish up my tea, start looking, through the photos, taking the notes, and then I can glance at this calendar, let's say when February, March, April, May rolls around, and I can see where, oh, well, in 2023, that worked or that didn't work. So that's it. It was just an idea to share because this is something I'm doing to prepare myself for the new year, which I am very excited about. And I do know that now we really need to be getting those onion seeds seeded into our little trays. So I will be doing that this week, and I will be posting a video on that. So stay tuned, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.